Good evening, and welcome to the Doris Hall James Indie Show. We're glad that you have time to join us today, and our special guest today is no other than Terry Price Grant. Hi, Terry.
How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm great.
And Terry's a songwriter, he's a composer, he's an arranger, he's a musician. He does a little bit of everything, and I'm honored to have you today on the Doris Hall James Indie Show.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to our show.
No problem.
Okay, for accepting my invite.
Yeah.
That's what I should say.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
No problem.
And on my left hand side, this is Wendy, and this is Terry's wife. Wendy, how are you? And thanks for coming. Okay, I love the support, the husband and wife team. Now you're my third.
Oh yeah.
You're my third. I had Winston and his wife, and who else did I have? Talmadge and his wife Charlie, and I have you too. So I want to thank you guys for coming. Okay. Now this interview, like, it's 45 minutes, so we're gonna travel. Okay. And when I say travel, we're gonna start from the beginning of your musical career, and you take us through your journey up until now, and tell us how you started, what made you get into music, and all those good things.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. What got me into music was, I guess, from childhood. I was always interested in musical instruments.
All right.
Couldn't play them, but was interested in them. And from the very first time, I remember my father bought me a little record player, and that was a long time ago. As a matter of fact, the number one song at that time was 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford. That was the number one song.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just loved it, you know, and I'm just fascinated by the turntable and the music and, you know, that sort of thing. And as I grew up, I tried to write little songs and this and that and the other. I just was fascinated with entertainment, per se.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I got started. I really didn't get into the business aspect of it until much later. But the writing and all that kind of stuff, it basically came natural.
Okay. And when you started writing, you were just like writing at home, and
I was writing on, you know, pads.
I know.
All kinds of stuff. I make up my own melodies.
Yeah.
I didn't have a tape recorder, so I had to remember everything, you know. Back then it was just
Yeah.
girl, you better and keep that in your head. It's crazy.
And so that led for you to do bigger things, allowed you to move forward, right? Just sitting there and writing. And you were not writing with an instrument, you were just tapping and lyrics and melody flowing through that brain and all that kind of stuff.
Trying to get rhymes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Becoming a master at rhyming and that sort of thing, and wordplay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when did you actually knew that, hey, I got something and I'm going to move forward?
Well, for real, I had to learn that I had nothing.
Okay.
First.
Okay.
Before I realized I had something. And that came in high school when I was at Bach Tech in South Philly.
Yeah.
And a couple of my classmates got together and they wanted to start a group. And of course I wanted in. Well, at that time I didn't know I couldn't sing. I was just singing any old crazy stuff, and they just kindly slid me out. Well, that group became the Futures.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And as you follow me along, I want to show you how what not karma, but just how God works.
I know.
So remember, I wanted to be in the Futures.
Right.
Okay. And so it took me getting put out of the Futures before they were the Futures.
Before they were the Futures.
Right. To understand that you got to work at this.
Yeah.
It don't come that easy. You just say, I want to sing, and now you're a singer. You know, first of all, you got to know how to sing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so then let's travel with you. So after now you were in high school when you got this group, right?
Yeah.
Who turned out to now be the Futures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were in high school, and then you kept going, and where did you go next?
Well, after that, I said I'll start my own group.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what I did, along with a couple. It was crazy. It was in North Philadelphia where I lived, and at that time in the area that I lived in, it was so crazy because everybody there was going to be somebody.
Oh.
They weren't then, but I didn't even know who I was around.
Yeah.
So I lived at Camac and Dolphin. Up the street were the Epsilons. Right? Around the corner were the Eminons. Down the street on 8th Street was Teddy Pendergrass. Yet to be Teddy.
Yeah.
Yet to be in the Blue Notes. The Uptown Theater was 2 blocks from me. So all that
Was all around.
was all around me. I actually saw, well, let's go back. The Epsilons turned out to be John Whitehead, Gene McFadden, Sugar Man, all those guys, right? And I was there I wasn't there when they got signed to Otis Redding, but I was there when Otis Redding's bus pulled by my house and pulled up on the sidewalk for John and Gene. I was there when John and Gene had their first hit and came riding down Dolphin Street in brand new Chevys. Brand new, spanking new. John had a bright red one with a white top, convertible top, and Gene had an ugly green one, but it was new.
Okay.
Right. So coming from that, I started a group in the neighborhood, and we were called the Novaks.
Okay.
And we actually battled the Futures. We actually got signed with a guy named Tyrone. He was anyway, and he wound up getting killed in Atlantic City, and that took away our money and our uniforms and this and that the other, and we wound up signing with a guy named Samuel Wilson, Brother Sam. And
is that the Sam?
The Sam from Philly Cream and that kind of thing. And he had the drill team on York Street.
Okay.
And he used to take us out, and we would do shows at crazy places. I mean, we didn't have a record, we didn't have nothing, but he got us shows opening up, at what they call those things back in the day. The parties that you go to and you invite people. What do you call them?
Cabarets.
Cabarets.
Okay.
Yeah, you open up at
Cabaret.
cabarets and you're doing shows and this and that the other, and then you start getting known, like that. But he had us all the way out in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada.
Really?
Yeah, doing shows and what I mean, that sort of thing. But that group got to be well known in the neighborhood, and like once again, time comes around, and here we are battling the Futures, the group that I wanted to be in, at like a big function. They kicked our butts, but I'm getting to know, getting to see, getting to fail. I'm failing. I'm getting embarrassed. Get all that out the way.
Right.
To finally wind up at Philly International Records.
Great. Now that's great. That was a great achievement.
But once again, I'm at Philly International Records. I can't get in.
Now, I was getting ready to ask you that. Okay, go ahead.
I can't get in. I want to be at Philly International Records. I can write.
Okay. Yes, you can.
I can write. But once again, I can't write. So I have to go through that. So I just called upstairs and I told them that if I didn't get an appointment, those speakers that you put on the top of the car and they go by and they say vote for so and so, vote for, that I was going to play my music outside of this building all day long until I get an appointment.
All right.
He said, bring that nut upstairs. So I went upstairs and I had an appointment with Tom Bell. And I said, yeah, I could write. And he took me to his office and I had my little piece of paper and I was singing my song. I sang my song.
Yeah, a little piece of paper.
My little piece of paper with my lyrics on it. And I was saying my song. And he said, mm-hmm. And he took my paper and he folded it up and he made an airplane out of it.
Okay.
And threw it out the window. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. I felt so bad. I felt so downhearted because I wanted to be a success, not only with Philly International, but the fact that the girl that got me to even go there in the first place was my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Yvette Davis. Her and Tom Bell had worked together before. Okay. I didn't even know she wrote songs. She actually wrote the song on the Spinners, like Howdy Do, Your Tin Soldiers.
Great job, yes. Beautiful song.
Right. And I called her, I said, he threw my lyrics out the window. And she just started cracking up laughing. But he had me come back, and he kind of took me under his wing. He put me in a little studio, and he said, take that song, rewrite it, and I'll get you some studio time. Not in this studio, but he sent me up Ardmore, and I recorded the song, and I finally wound up getting signed to Philly International.
That was a fascinating story. You were determined.
True. Yeah, determination.
And your failures were not failures.
No, they're not. They were stepping stones.
Yeah. To get to where you wanted to go.
That's right.
And so you started there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me about that history. Once you became a writer for Philly International.
Well, once I became a writer for Philly International, I realized that I wasn't serious yet, which means that my goal of being successful, I found out, hinged on the fact that I really wanted girls.
You wanted girls?
I wanted girls.
Oh, okay.
That was the whole.
That was my whole purpose. Okay. Because I had to think back to what got me into this, and then I realized that I've been at the Uptown Theater every day of my life. Mm-hmm. I was the guy that used to scrape the bubble gum off the floor I used to work with a guy named Foots.
Okay.
He worked at the Uptown Theater. He got me a job with him. So I was at the Uptown Theater every show. Okay. I'm all backstage. My eyes is blinking. I seen the girls go, ah! I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be.
That's what I want to do.
That's what I want to do.
I want to write those
girls,
songs. Right?
Oh my God.
Okay.
The guys, they walking off the back of the up there. Like, oh my God. They partying, having the. I said, oh man, I got it. This is what I want to do. But when I got up there, I realized once again, you need more than a want.
Yeah.
You need more than a want. And it was crazy because they put me with a couple guys that I didn't know. I got to know them. Mm-hmm. One guy was his name was Jamil. The other guy's name was City Brown.
City Brown.
City Brown. And we became friends, and we became a team. Mm-hmm. Now, our door was right next to Gamble and Huff's office. Mm-hmm. If you walk out of Gamble's office, that was our door. It would seem like we would be the ones that would get all the songs in because we're the proximity. That didn't work. Okay. The fact that we're in this room and now I got to find out where's my glitch. So my glitch right then was we got a guy that plays the piano. Mm-hmm. We got a guy that sings, City Brown. Now what do? Well, I'm the drummer. Now you got to remember, this is during the time they didn't have all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So what Gamble and Huff gave each of us was a tape recorder about this big. Mm-hmm. So we used to. The guy started playing the piano. Mm-hmm. The guy started playing the piano, and one guy would sing. We would record that on that tape. Then we would put that tape in there, play that, and we would do the background on this tape. on this tape, and we would go back and forth until we had a finished product.
Well, how did the song come out? Was it okay? I mean,
Some of them were okay, some of them were not. But come to find out that we couldn't operate if the piano player didn't show up.
right.
That kind of got on my nerves. So I started tinkling around with the piano. And I got good enough that if I could sing it, I could play it.
Okay.
And that was the end of that.
That was the end of that.
That was the end of that.
You took it from there.
I took it from there. And
So when you went there as a writer, they grouped like 2, 3, 4 together, and
yeah.
they put them together.
Well, when
as a
I got there,
team?
there were already teams.
They were teams.
Already.
Okay.
Charlie Boy Simmons and his 2 partners, Ted Wortham and Slim, they were a team. Gamble and Huff were a team. They had a bunch of teams, and each of us have our own office. Dexter Winesell and his, I can't think of her name, but that team. And when the artists would come in, they would visit like each office. Well, I'm at Philly International now. I'm a writer.
Okay.
Right. Gamble says, I got a group for y'all to work with. Right. And I want y'all to write some songs for them. He was like, all right, send them in. And you know who it was, right?
Who?
The Futures.
Oh no! What did you say? I fixed you, didn't I?
Now I'm gonna tell. Not only am I going to sing, I'm gonna tell you what to sing. Right? You see how that works?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was my first. That was my first group, first artist to work with, and we did their album. I did 3 songs on that album, and I got the single.
Isn't that great?
Isn't that something?
See, I think God makes things go around.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same guys.
What did they say? Terry the Terry?
Shut up, sit down.
Yeah, so that was good.
Yeah.
And so how long did you stay at Philly International?
Well, I got there in 75, and I stayed there till 80.
Okay, you did 5 years.
The bad part was that I came at the end of the... See, if I had have gotten there, like 60...
Yeah, that's what Dennis was telling me.
Yeah, if I had got there then,
during that time.
Man, I would have wound up being one of the big writers there because I would have got some hits. But when I got there, everybody already had their hits, and I came right at the end, right around the time of Ain't No Stopping Us Now, when they were doing that. That was right near the end.
Okay, all right. And then, so you stayed there for 5 years, and were you doing anything on your own at that time, or you were
No,
just basically
still with
with
my little group.
Okay. So you hadn't gone on your own. So after you left there, then what happened?
Well, I left
Where did you
there.
go?
I left there, and there was another company in Philly called WMOT.
That's where we met.
That's where we met. Right.
Okay.
I went there and I applied, and with Steve Bernstein and Alan Rubens, and got hired the same day, because I came by myself, and then City Brown followed because he got mad at me for leaving him there.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not. There were some things that was going on. I was like, I'm not staying here,
Right.
and I decided to go to WMOT, and so City Brown came behind me, and we became a team there. Nothing really happened while City and I were together. But when City left, that left me by myself. When I got by myself, by then, I had kind of mastered the piano to the point of I could play anything that I sang. Okay? And got to Philly International and started playing and meeting the artists, meeting you, meeting your guys. And I would never forget it. The first thing that I really, really did big was they hired me for the band leader, and I think I put the show together for you guys, your group. What was your group called?
Was it Slick?
Slick.
Yeah.
Fat Larry's band and the Stylistics were at the Academy of Music.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
And we were with the Stylistics. I remember that.
Right. there was somebody who was late, and I cussed them out. Do you remember who that was?
Was it Peaches?
It was Brandy Wills. That's when I met her.
Okay.
And she walked in late.
Yeah.
And that whole thing got to be crazy because she was spoiled brat, and nobody had ever talked to her like that. Mm-hmm. And that's what made her like me, I guess. I don't know. She was like, ooh.
And you took us under your wing, and we used to rehearse and rehearse. Mm-hmm. And Terry used to always tell me, said, Doris, you always offbeat. You always off rhythm. You're not.
She could sing, but she couldn't dance.
I was always off rhythm, and I said, okay. And to this day, I'm still off rhythm. The song is slow, and I'm going fast.
But at least I told you, right?
Yeah, you told me.
Some people won't tell you.
But you had good experiences both places. Now at WMOT, who did you get a chance to write for?
Well, WMOT was a good experience. I was working with Butch Ingram, and I think maybe one of the first people I did was, I'm trying to think of her name. She was she was actually an actress. She came from the show with Sherman Hemsley when they filmed it in Philly. It was a church. He was a deacon. Amen. Well, it was two sisters that worked in the office of the church. One of those sisters was named Roz Ryan. Her real name was Roz Ryan. Mm-hmm. She was an actress. I did her first and only song at WMOT, produced by Butch Ingram. Then I think it was they had a couple other artists that kind of got in trouble, and I never got to work with them. And then I finally wound up meeting you guys up there. And I was still working with Brandy and you know, but nothing really popped yet. I don't think it was until WMOT moved from downtown up to
I can't remember where they
Rock Hill Road.
Okay.
And they changed their name to Omni. Oh no! I'm sorry.
Omni was the record company.
I'm sorry.
Wasn't that the record company?
No. They moved from Vine Street, and they merged with Tech Records over there on 13th and Spruce.
Okay. I can't remember.
That is where we got in trouble. That is where Brandy and I became a couple, and that is where Fat Larry's band asked me if I would join the band and play the piano. Not because I was a great piano player. It's just that I know how to stay on the notes, stay on the groove.
Stay on the groove.
I couldn't show off because I couldn't go like I couldn't do that. But you can't.
But you could sing.
Oh yeah.
Hurry,
yeah,
hurry,
I could sing.
hurry.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could sing. So
Right.
that turned out to really be, that was really good. And then we all had an opportunity, some kind of way to go over Europe.
Well, what happened first was, they signed Brandy as a solo artist,
yes.
and she would do like double duty. She would still be with y'all and still be in the background there, and y'all would still be background for Fat Larry's band. It was one big happy family, and I'll never forget that when they over there on 13th Street, they put a piano in the basement, and that's actually where I wrote like most of the stuff, and to this day I really respect Larry, because most people who have a band, and especially a band that is named after them, they do all their stuff.
Yeah.
I know a couple people like that, even from Philly International, and that's what they did. You couldn't get a break.
Yeah, but Larry would give you a break.
Larry would give you a break.
And
he took a couple of my songs and we worked together, and the fruit of that is Act Like You Know.
Yeah, Act Like You Know.
Act Like You Know, and
Oh yeah.
You were always a good writer. You were writing things for Brandy. You know, she had what was that album?
What goes
she
around,
had?
what goes
Was
around
that
comes
album?
around,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually used to come down. Matter of fact, we had an apartment upstairs. Mm-hmm. She actually used to come down while I'm playing the piano down there, and she would actually try to write songs with me. She wasn't a great writer. She was a great singer.
She was a great singer.
She could sing now.
Mm-hmm.
She could sing. As a matter of fact, did you know she taught Wanye to sing, right?
No,
From
I
Boys to
didn't.
Men?
No.
Those runs that he do? Yeah.
I know she could do all those
He's
runs.
from Chester.
Okay.
He was her little protege. She taught him those runs that he does.
She was a great
Oh,
singer.
and I'm pretty sure he'll
singer.
tell you. She can sing. But anyway, that basement is actually where they actually told me, said, listen, take this song and try to put a hook to it. And I did do that. And brought it back, and that was Zoom. That Zoom took us to England. That's what I was trying to get to.
yeah.
That
was
Zoom,
a good trip.
That
was
you
a
know
good
that
trip.
you know I had never been overseas before, but I was shocked, not by going overseas, but when we got there, we were so famous.
The welcome.
We were so famous.
The
That
welcome.
song was so big over in England.
And the welcome was just
Right.
we couldn't believe it.
We couldn't leave the hotel. Like we couldn't come out the hotel and just go to McDonald's. You know, that's that Michael Jackson
like
stuff. You know what I mean?
over here.
Yeah, and it made me realize that, you know, just like a Frankie Beverly, sometimes you got to leave Philly and come back as an import. You got to leave Philly, get famous, and then come back, because a lot of people will accept you better. England are really into R&B, and they really don't care who you are. They care about the music,
the songs,
the songs. So you could be in England, and there's a girl that's going crazy over Zoom, but she'll tell you, I love that song, and me mom does too, and your mom loves it. Yeah, you know what I mean? And they get into it. Well, you know what I mean?
And they still have Fat Larry's band still have a market over there.
Yeah.
For those songs.
Yeah.
And they're always trying to get the guys to come over, and you know they still have a market. And I remember you guys used to be performing. They used to be pulling their hair out.
Yeah.
It was just real
crazy.
crazy over there.
Yeah.
You know, but it was fun too.
Yeah.
It was a good experience for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember coming back to Philly, and we got off the plane, and when we got off the plane there was people there to meet us and greet us and take our bags. When we got off the plane here in Philly,
Crickets.
I mean, they didn't help us with our bags. We were carrying our bags, and it was totally a different atmosphere, you know.
Yeah.
But that was good. But what did you? How did you feel about the loss of Brandy Wills? How did you deal with that?
It was devastating, and not just the fact that she passed, but it was what was happening when she passed.
Yeah.
Of course, her and I broke up, and I married my wife now. There's Wendy, and Wendy knew about Brandy, and my wife was the kind of she is the kind of woman that at that time trusted me. So it was no thing for Brandy to actually come over our house, and I was trying to restart her career. So she came over and she met my kids, my little girl, and they fell in love with her. And I would go to the train station and pick her up. This is after way after we broke up. She's back in Chester. I guess with her mom, and I would pick her up and bring her back up to our house, and she would spend the weekend, and the whole weekend we were recording it, and it was like great, the stuff she was doing. I did Ooh Baby Baby over with her. Girl, you should hear that, I'm telling you. But during that time that we was doing this, she passed. I was devastated. Like I probably wouldn't have been as devastated if I hadn't saw her since I broke up with her. But no, we were actually working on some things, and right in the middle.
Well, we gotta find a way. She's been gone for a long time, but you know her music is still excellent, and we need to find a way to play her music and
Yeah.
keep things going.
Keep
And
things
her
going.
her counterpart, like Phyllis Nelson,
Mhm.
she passed too.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she passed.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
do know.
she-
I do know.
She,
Oh yeah,
she
Phyllis.
passed.
Yeah, that's Phyllis. I thought you meant the other.
And they were just like
Who was my cousin?
Yeah,
Phyllis.
yeah,
Nelson was your cousin.
yeah. We were at her funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she passed, and her and Brandy was so close. And sometimes
The,
I could
gir-
hardly tell who was singing what because they sound so much alike.
the girl Yvette,
Yes.
who I said wrote the song, that was Phyllis's best girlfriend. See how
Okay.
things
It's
just
isn't that something else?
yeah. It's a small world, smaller than what people think.
And I seen Phyllis one day, and we were on 63rd and Spruce, and I said, "Well, what are you doing here?" And you didn't call me anything because she was in California.
Right.
So I said, "Well, how long have you been here?" And she just looked totally different. She was just so sad, and she said, "Well, I've been here for a couple of weeks, but I'm going to go back,
Right.
soon." And I said, "Well, I'll call you so we can connect." And so then the next maybe week or so, if it was that long, my sister said to me, "Your girlfriend Phyllis passed away." And I said, "My girlfriend Phyllis?" I said, "Well, how do you know my girlfriend Phyllis?" Because I always was talking to Phyllis, right? I was always talking about Phyllis to my family. I said, "How do you know?" And she said, "Because her mother is a member of my church."
Mary.
So that's how I found out that Phyllis had passed away. I had no idea she had passed away. She was another great singer.
Yep.
And they had, her and Peaches had some songs on Reel to Reel at that time. And I don't know if they ever were published, but they were some killer songs, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like I said,
That's a good story. That's really a good story.
Yeah, all of those people came through my life one way or the other. And that's crazy. And I wound up with Wendy. And Wendy is Phyllis's, it's like,
Phyllis
wow.
Nelson.
Yeah.
I found her son, Mark, on Facebook the other day.
Did you?
And I said, "Well, I haven't seen you since you were a kid, but I was a friend of your mom's, and and we chatted for a minute on Facebook.
Wow.
But we're in contact with Chris. Are you related to Chris too? Chris Nelson? That's Phyllis. Is it her cousin or?
If it's a cousin of hers, it's a cousin of mine. It's my mother's
He was on
side
a
of the
show
family.
a couple months ago. Chris Nelson.
Okay.
But let me take a
Much
minute.
younger, of
Let
course.
me take a minute and say hello to Steve Bernstein. Hi, Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Okay, Terry Price's grant is finally here, and thanks for supporting us, Steve. Hello, Sandy. John Hall. John Hall will be here next week. Was with Philly Cream, and look who popped up. Daryl Grant.
Oh,
Hello,
wow.
Daryl. How are you? Daryl Grant was one of the first members of Fat Larry's band. He was the lead singer for Fat Larry. And Joseph
What's up,
Smith. Joseph Smith. Hi, Joseph. And Matt Green. Hello, guys, and thanks for joining us tonight. Our guest is Terry Price, and we're following him, traveling with him through his musical journey. Now, tell us a little bit about the pros and cons, in your opinion, of the music business.
You want the truth or you?
I want the
Oh,
truth.
okay.
Because I want them to hear the truth. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, as I stand now, or as I live now, would be different than if I hadn't have given my life to Christ and become a minister. My answer would be altogether different.
Okay. Okay.
So what I'm saying is, my answer to you, the answer I'm going to give you, is not going to be, not that I'm not going to tell the truth. It's just some things
You're not going to say.
I'm not going to say.
That's fine.
But to answer your question, it's a really dog-eat-dog situation in this music business. And my suggestion is to take the word business and put in front.
We always talk about that.
Yeah, don't even think of it as the music business. Get your business together first.
Mm-hmm.
Get all that lined up. Get yourself a publishing company, even though you haven't published anything yet. Get all that set up. Join ASCAP or BMI.
Right.
Make sure that you're lined up. Get yourself an attorney, and make sure that the attorney, don't be like me. Make sure you take that thing to that attorney. It's gonna cost you a little money, but it'll save you some skin later on. That's what I suggest. I don't know about how much talent you got and what you heard and
Just
what
get
you
the
do.
business stuff
You
straightened
get the
out
business
first.
part straight
Okay.
before you do the music.
Okay.
See, what we do is we do the music,
We do the music,
and then
so
we
it's
try
like-
to take care of business. But most of us that are talented and creative have no idea about the business, nor do we care. A lot of us
That's
don't
right.
care.
That's right.
I don't care
That's
about
right.
that. But then
That's
once
right.
you grow up and you realize that I could have put a little nest egg aside for my children, and then but now somebody else owns the rights that you should have owned, it'll kill you. Some people take their lives. Some people go to drugs. Some people drink their life away, knowing that they didn't really take care of business. And now the music don't mean nothing. What does the music part mean?
Right.
You creative, but you broke. You creative, but you're dead. You're creative, but you don't have a wife or a husband. Your family, you don't. You're creative, but your kids hate you. You're creative, but you're not saved.
Yeah.
You're creative, but you're going to hell.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of all of that other part first. Get that mind together and be ready to deal with these people because they are sharks. They don't call it the music business for no reason.
Show business.
Right.
They're all about the show.
Yeah. They all about the themselves. It's a not only dog eat dog, but it's a selfish kind of business. Because if it were true that the business would be built on talent and creativity, then a lot of my stuff would have been up here.
Right.
But because I am where I am situated at this time, I'm not going to be up here because the person that owns the business is up here.
I understand.
And
I
they're not
hope-
going to allow
hope
me
you
down
understand.
here to get
get
up
up
here
there.
with him. You understand what I'm saying? They'll give me the little stuff to do. You take that and go over there. And God knows that maybe you will, or maybe you won't ever hear your stuff. That's what they call shelving it.
Yeah, they
We'll
put it on the
shelve
shelf.
it, and that's when the business part comes in. Because you're saying, well, why would they take my stuff and put it on the shelf? Well, because they can write it off. See, it's all about business. So my answer to your question is, get that business part together first before you even do your music.
Okay. All right. And that's good information to put out there to
I wouldn't sing nobody nothing.
That's good information because you have a lot of youngsters, people just getting into music, and they needed to hear that.
There's a lot of
To get
stories, a
themselves-
lot of stories to be told.
Well, I've met so many people and know many people who said to me, Doris, I never got any publishing. For my songs. Said my song was played everywhere, and I got a little bit of royalties, but no publishing for my song. I was so happy just to get my song out and hear my song on the radio and people dancing, and that I didn't take care of that. And now I'm old, and I'm not getting any benefits for all the hard work that I've done. And I can understand that. So Facebook fans and friends, you listen to what Terry says because this is the absolute truth. You need to first learn the business and take care of your business so you're always able to live off what you have worked for and what you have done. And always able then to negotiate things.
Right.
You know, you need to negotiate things.
Let me give you an example of an instance that I think is so wrong, and especially, and of course, when I tried to write it, you know, I don't know if they blackballed me or whatever, but I got the cold shoulder. But this is the right thing to do. You take the sweeties that sang background on those songs. What would it have taken for me as a producer or owner of a studio or owner of a record company to know that that girl's voice is going to be heard on that voice, not only make the record, but is going to be heard from that point forward, just as the guy who's singing it.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
if I sing background on the Teddy song, when you hear Teddy,
You hear
you're gonna
me.
hear me from that point forward. Well, Teddy's gonna get paid from the time he's singing
That's right.
to the time he's out of here. The songwriter is gonna
Gonna
get paid
get
from
paid.
the time that he wrote it forever. But the background singer and the guitar player, they'll throw you $200.
Yeah, the work for hire.
And your work that's going to be heard forever, which made the song.
That's right.
Which made the
Right.
song.
You made a song. You
Right.
You were beneficial
A
in
lot,
getting that song to where it is now.
a lot of these songs start off with them.
Right.
Dum,
Yeah.
dum, 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 dum. He ain't even came in yet.
No.
This is these
I
guys
understand.
that are playing, that's making this beat and making the groove, and the girls in the background singing their thing, that's making the song, and then you coming in. Maybe you don't sing that good, but you look good, or whatever that they signed you for. But these are the people that are underneath. They should get something.
That's right.
They
That's
should get
right.
a royalty also.
That's what we've been saying. These people, you know, you look at these super mega stars, but you know, the people, the musicians, the background singers, all these
Right.
people, they help, they collaborate, they made you. You
Hey.
now, I'm not taking anything away from you as a a mega star, not taking anything away, but you had all these people that worked very hard and they rehearsed.
Right.
They may have been hired, work for hire.
Right.
You know, and they get one flat fee, a couple, and that's it. Why all the money goes to, and they will be on that recording forever.
And the crazy part is this: they'll take those musicians that made that song, right? And now it's time for them to go on the road. They'll hire other musicians.
Other musicians, yeah, that's
They'll
right.
never come back to the girls and say, "Can y'all go on the road with me?" It would seem like they would want the same ones that sing. You know what I mean? Because they've realized, well, look, they only got like $300 for singing it. Let me put some money in
And
their
take
pockets
new
and take
people.
them with me on tour with me. Some people don't even do that. You know, so I just feel as though getting that business part right, even doing that, not so much just as a songwriter or producer, but as a background singer, have your business together,
Okay.
because that's it for you.
Isn't it
When you go in
something?
the studio and sing that,
That's it.
whoop whoop, can I get a beep beep? That's it for you. You're done. And now he can go on tour from now on. He can be 95,
hire
still
his-
talking about beep beep.
And hire all the singers
and
and
the two
musicians.
background girls is brand new, young girls.
And you know that's how it is, and that's 100. You know, and one of these days we're going to do a workshop, and we're going to discuss all that, and you know, invite youngsters out or people that's writing to join in the workshop, because they need to understand that, and that's a perfect example of a hit record, what we call a hit record, and you're only getting paid work for hire,
Right.
and it goes forever.
And it goes down.
Now you have a new CD out, and I want to hold this up here, okay? Get into your new CD. And this CD, you did this all by yourself. You did all the playing, all the arranging, composing, and everything.
Most of the singing.
Most of the singing here. And this CD here is not R&B,
No.
okay? It's gospel.
Yes.
And as you move through your musical journey, now you're a minister. Okay, now what transpired? What transition did you make? I mean, why did you do this? Why did you go into ministry?
Okay. Well, ministry is not something that you go into.
Okay.
Ministry is something that you called into.
You called into.
I had no choice.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Right. I had no choice to becoming a minister. It's nothing I subscribed to, nothing I look forward to, nothing I studied for. I had to go through what music took me through to realize that there was a God that loved me and that Jesus died for my sins. Now, how people get to that point, you know. But me personally, how I got to it was I was a guy that hated drugs. Hated drugs. I couldn't stand for you to smoke a reefer around me. Just couldn't stand it. Well, how did that guy get to go through all this music stuff and all this fame? Traveled to England 2-3 times. Been to Israel 2 times with John Whitehead. Worked with all these different people and did Teddy's album, and I did Rolls Royce's album, and I did Jean Carnes' Closer Than Close, the only #1 hit she's ever had. Working with all these different people, get on drugs. How did I become a crackhead? An undercover one. A good undercover one. Because I'm probably shocking some people right now. They probably didn't know.
Right.
But I was an undercover one. How did that happen? So just like in my earlier life, I had to go through things in order to get to where I am. Yeah. God didn't put me there, okay? But He was with me there and brought me through that.
He brought you through.
Right.
Yes.
To a point where I had to deal with me. My wife came home and said, I went to this church, and honey, and you just got to go and hear this man. And that's how it started. I wasn't no church person. People that know me as a lover and this and that, or whatever it is that y'all know me as. It wasn't church. And I went there and I started worshiping. And just one day I just broke down and came forward and accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior.
That's wonderful.
That's how it started. And from that point forward, I started teaching. And I thank God for my pastor who allowed me to do that, because I had that wasn't in my resume. It wasn't supposed to be.
But this was God's plan.
That was God's plan. It wasn't in my mind.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that was God's plan. And so I got the call, and I know a lot of people try to, I guess they wonder, what do you mean call? How you get the call?
Yeah, I understand.
You ever wind up doing something that you had no
idea of doing? Oh, yes.
That was it. But see, because
idea, I understand that.
You understand? And some things you don't even question. You just say, God,
I understand.
It's a personal thing. But the call was there because what happens is you have people around you that recognize it. So people were starting to say to me, when you going to preach? And I was like, what's wrong with her? You high? You must be high. Me? Here, you talking about me? And they kept coming, and they kept saying it. I didn't know it at the time until after I became a minister. That those were the angels
talking to you, saying,
you're not where you're supposed to be. You're here for another purpose. Go on and do it. And I'm saying, get out of here. And here I am.
Well, that's great, because sometimes you do get the call, okay? And you get the call, and you move forward with the call. And they'll say, people say, well, why did you do that? Well, why did you do that? And I said, this is what God wanted me to do. And I mean, I really feel it, so I can understand. I can understand your feeling. And I'm proud of you, because
thank you.
You're traveling, and you're still writing R&B, and you're still doing your gospel and your inspiration music. And God is going to take you even further. Oh, yeah. He's going to take you further and further into your musical journey. That's what's going to happen. And as long as we have faith and believe and we're obedient, He's there for us.
I play drums at church?
No.
Do you ever remember me playing drums?
No.
Me either.
So He gave you another gift, right?
Right. I mean, You know, and it's up to me to accept it. And I do it joyfully because it's not for girls. It's for God.
Okay.
See, your reason. And that's the other thing that your people should know. Check out your reason. Check out your reason why you're doing things. Is it for real? For real? Is that like, because if it's for real, you just can't help it.
Yeah.
That's how I know
Yeah.
I'm called to be a minister, because I just can't help it. Don't know why it happened. Don't care why it happened. It's just the fact that I had no control over that.
Now, where do you worship?
I worship at Mount Airy Baptist Church,
Oh,
2019, 69th,
2012.
69th Avenue, right off of 69th and Ogons. Right at
I know where Mount Airy
Limekill
is.
Pike and Haynes.
I'll ask you about that later, but
Okay.
I know about Mount Airy.
Baptist
I
Church.
think-
Now,
I
not
think-
Mount Airy, not the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ.
No, it's
the
not
big
that.
church.
Mm-mm.
Right. This
Okay.
is Reverend Willis A. Brown, my dad in the ministry.
Okay. Well, now what are your plans now? You're going to stay in your ministry. You're going to write your songs. You're going to do some R&B. And what we have here, Gilbert and I, we have a selection of what I call good inspirational songs that we're trying to do. We're going to
Right.
get to this too.
Okay.
Because when you say you were called, we were sitting down here one day and we were writing all these R&B songs, and all of a sudden I wanted to write gospel.
Mhm.
I wanted to tell the world how good God has been to me,
Mhm.
you know, and relay that message. And the only way I really know how to relay a message like that is through song.
All right.
Okay.
Some of us are called to be preachers.
Mhm.
Some of us are called
Yeah.
to be ministers in
Mhm.
music. Yeah.
So
Right.
that's really good, and maybe we can share some of our music sometime.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me see what I want to go back and ask you about Closer Than Close. Okay. And that was written, and it was written by you, and it was sung by Gene Carr.
Mhm.
And what was the meaning of that song? What were you thinking about when you wrote that
I
song?
was in love.
You were in love.
I was in love. I was crazy in love. I was. I went downstairs and this right there at 13th and Spruce
Okay.
in the basement, and I started playing. So I called Brandy up and I said, "Come downstairs. You got to come downstairs." And I said, "Just sing this for me." And all she had to do was just start singing it,
Mhm.
and it just took me. Whew, because I mean, I had the little melody in my head, but some of these things you have to imagine, because you know most of our songs are lies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can say to you, baby,
fantasies.
well, it's lies.
Mm.
You know, you heard somebody
It's
singing the
lies.
song, "I'll swim the ocean for you, baby."
Yeah.
No, you will not. You're not swimming the ocean. I'll climb the highest mountain for you, girl. You know what I mean? Those are lies. But my writing, when I write, I just put myself in that position, and it's almost like a daydream. Not of what is actually happening, but what I wish would happen. I wish I was that much in love that I would just want to hold you closer. But how can you be closer than close? You can't be no closer than that. You know? But that comes from, like I said, that practicing the word, the word stuff. That's why you got to know what you want to do. I had a song on the Stylistics that started like this, and this is like wordplay. It started out as a one-night love affair. That's how it started out. But somehow things got turned around, and now it ended up not like it started out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's almost like poetry, you know. But that comes from working on your craft. Working
Okay.
on your craft, getting your business together, and then worry about the music and the girls. Or guys.
All right.
Or whatever.
Well, I mean, you've done so many things. I have a list up here. You played with Fat Larry's band, and you had Stroke.
Mm-hmm.
You did some things for Archie Bell,
Mm-hmm.
Gene Carn, and Brandy Wells, and Billy Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I went on, you can find Terry Price Grant on Facebook, and you can go on his Facebook page, and you can view all the many songs that he he's done and all the different things that he's done. You could see what a great career Terry has had from the first time when he auditioned for the Futures up to now. And Terry is still working, still producing music, and he's behind a lot of the artists that you now hear on the radio today. And I just want to thank you for contributing to our music and keeping our music alive.
And I just wanted, is it done?
No, this is your minute.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to tell the viewers out there that that you remember when I started talking about the Futures and how that thing came around? Well, just hang in there. That's the other part of it. You just got to keep on going, because the same thing happened at Philly International. Of course, I wanted to work with Teddy Pendergrass, but I'm just a little menial writer, and I'll never get to work with Teddy. You can work with them guys, but not with Teddy. Well, it comes around and comes around and comes around. Teddy gets hurt. He gets a deal with Elektra Records, and now guess who's his producer? And we did the Truly Blessed album.
It's your turn.
The Truly Blessed album.
It's your turn.
I did a song on him. It was a special project for Elektra, and we did a couple songs, a song on bread and How Can You Mend This Broken Heart and all that kind of stuff. Got nominated for a Grammy. I never thought that would happen.
That's really good.
Yep, so you gotta just hang on in there.
Hang in there. Okay, so now we want to go into talking about, but I want to thank you both for coming in. I want to thank you, Wendy, for being a support system for Terry, because he needs that support, and there's no better support than the wife. Okay, for him. And I
He
want
who
to
finds
the
a
man,
wife
the
finds
man
a
in
good
his
thing.
music, right? You keep your good thing, right?
Yes.
And that makes a difference in his career. And I want to thank you, and I want to say God bless you.
Yeah.
And you just keep
Same
up,
to you.
just keep up the good work. The show is here, and we're always here, and we're here to promote what you do. Okay, your CD will be played, and we will play that on Philly Live Radio, and that will be played. I have to let you know because the radio's down right now, but I'll let you know, and the viewers can tune in and they can listen to this CD, because we can, for whatever songs you want us to play as an hour show, we can play it on Philly Live Radio. Okay, and I want to thank Gilbert for producing the show. Thank you, Gilbert, for being there, putting up with me.
Gilbert's quiet.
And next week we have Henry Patterson. Hi, Henry. That was one of my students from West Virginia. Matt Green. Let's see if I got everybody on here. Okay, and Willie Robinson. Okay, next week we have on our show at 8 o'clock next Thursday, John Hall. And he's a recording artist, and he was with Philly Cream. Okay, so he'll be here next week at 8 o'clock p.m. And we want to thank you. Now, if you want to reach Terry Price Grant, this is how you do it. Give me your email.
You can contact me at grantterry27@gmail.com. The Grant and the Terry goes together, so it should be 2 T's in the middle. 27@gmail.com. And for your free downloads, you can go to numberonemusic.com. And I have 3 songs on there. When you put in Any Day But Sunday, which is the gospel album.
That's great.
Yeah, put in Any Day But Sunday, and I have 3 songs on there that you can download for free.
Okay, and you gave such good information.
Thank you.
You know, you gave a lot of good information, and I just hope our friends and our fans and that they listen, because it was real good information. Okay?
Yeah.
And we want to thank you, and we'll see you next week, next Thursday, right? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. We're out.